Good morning, everybody. If you watched 12 News today or happened to hop on social media and saw Circle K trending and were wondering why, it's in part because of a story we ran this morning about the Tempe Police Department and their efforts in a community outreach sort of scenario in partnership with Circle K to provide coupons to people who were obeying traffic laws, namely pedestrian and bicyclist laws. There was some confusion over the initial press release, and our report this morning did not directly indicate exactly what the Tempe Police Department was trying to do with this promotion. So we're here at Tempe Police Department right now to sort of clarify everything and in full transparency give the facts to you the way that they should be from the start. So let's start with your name and title just so we have it on record for everybody.
Greg Bacon. I'm a detective within the Media Relations Unit.
So Greg, in your own words, can you sort of explain what this community outreach intended to do from its outset?
So number one, the goal of this event is to educate. First and foremost is to educate, whether from the very youth to the elder portion of the community, on traffic laws pertaining to pedestrians, bicyclists, and scooters. The city of Tempe has what's called Vision Zero. And Vision Zero, we want to have zero fatalities. And so as part of this, with partnership with Circle K, they have agreed to provide our police department with coupons. And the coupons are for officers to have consensual conversations. So we're not pulling cars over, we're not detaining people, we are not violating anybody's Fourth Amendment rights. An example of this would be the school resource officers. So they're in the school, and let's say an officer at the school sees one of their students riding up the school in the bike lane wearing the helmet. Later on, maybe at lunch, the officer walks up to the student and says, "Hey, I really appreciate you riding in the bike lane, wearing your helmet. As a matter of fact, I have something for you," and it offers them either the cold beverage or the hot beverage coupon. That's one example of what this campaign is meant to do. It's an education piece. Another example would be, let's say an officer is at a restaurant in line to order lunch, and they see a pedestrian crossing the street at the crosswalk with the cross signal. And at that point, that pedestrian happens to walk into the same restaurant to order food. And an officer says, "Hey, I really appreciate you crossing at the crosswalk, using the waiting for the light to indicate safe to cross. Would you like a cold beverage, hot beverage?" That is the intent of this program, is to educate, to help the city's mission of Vision Zero, to eliminate fatalities, have zero fatalities. And really, when you look at the program, if we can save one life, that's one life, one family that's been positively impacted by this campaign.
So you kind of mentioned one option of how you guys would go about this, because your intent was never to stop people, pull them over, etc. On the street, outside of a school, what would this look like?
So outside of a school, let's say an officer pulls into Circle K to grab something to drink or take a break. And as the officer is getting out of their car, the officer sees a bicycle sitting there, and somebody walks out of Circle K and they have their bicycle, and let's say the bicycle's locked up and the bicyclist picks up their helmet. The officer may walk up to the citizen on the bicycle and say, "Hey, do you have a moment to speak with me?" That citizen could say, "No, I have things to do and I have places to be," and that citizen rides off and all is well. Or the citizen says, "Sure, what would you like to talk to me about?" "Well, I noticed that you have a helmet." Or maybe, "I noticed that you don't have a helmet. Let's talk about some ways to maybe, save your life if you're hit and wearing a helmet and maybe prevent a further injury." And so they have that conversation and they offer this coupon for that citizen to have either a hot or a cold beverage from Circle K.
Do you have any compunctions personally or as a department about pairing with one particular brand or entity for something like this? Because it's something that our viewers had brought up. Like, well, why does Tempe Police want me to go to Circle K? Or is this as innocent as it appears to be on the surface?
So it's very innocent. This is just a partnership. Circle K has reached out to us in the past as well. This is actually not the first time we've done this campaign with Circle K. We've done it the exact same way in the past. In December of 2018, we did a very similar campaign with them. And so we're proud of that partnership with any business member within our community and business. And it's a way for the two to come together for a common goal to help with Vision Zero. And again, if we can save one life, that's one life saved.
A lot of people are saying, there's concerns over maybe their Fourth Amendment rights and things like that. Is it lawful for you guys to, pull over somebody, bicyclist, pedestrian, etc., for something like this?
Absolutely not. This is a consensual conversation. So an officer won't be sitting on the sidewalk running maybe speed enforcement and see a vehicle yield the right of way to a bicyclist and then go after that car to pull them over to reward them. That is not what this program is. It never was that way. It was never intended to be that way, and it won't be that way. The goal here is to contact consensually people in businesses, out on the sidewalks, things like that. A bicyclist riding with the flow of traffic, we're not going to ride next to that bicyclist and say, "Hey, would you like a coupon?" We're going to do other ways of educating, such as the schools, contacting these people in businesses, contacting these people in restaurants. Let's say, for example, that somebody is riding with a bike without a bike light, and we see that their bike is pulled over to the side of the road and they're doing something. An officer may say, hey, do you need some help fixing your bike? And I notice you don't have a bike light. Let's talk about some safety things that the benefits of having a bike light, again, might save their life down the road.
Someone also asked, is there an opportunity then for someone to say, actually, I'd rather not have this conversation?
Oh, absolutely. Nobody is obligated to talk to the officer. This is supposed to be a positive, fun thing for officers. We don't get to do a ton of positive things. And so for us to go out in the community and show a little bit different side and present a reward, I mean, when you think of ticketing, everyone always thinks to get pulled over, they have to pay a fine, go to court, something like that. This is furthest from that. It's 110 degrees outside. This is an opportunity for an officer to have a conversation with a citizen, engage them in some laws, help with Vision Zero, understand some safety, again, save a life, and allow them a beverage as part of it.
Just for the record, for our own purposes and for the viewers who have posted about it on Twitter and Facebook and other social media, in the state of Arizona, does a driver have the same rights to search and seizure or against unlawful search and seizure as a pedestrian or a bicyclist does?
Fourth Amendment is covered, period. I mean, an officer has to be able to articulate a reason for talking to somebody, detaining them, a non-consensual stop, whether reasonable suspicion or other articulable facts to say, hey, you can't go anywhere. This aligns with that. So this is a program where we're not going to stop cars, we're not going to stop pedestrians or bicyclists. And again, if we're having a conversation with a citizen who says, hey, listen, I'm late for a meeting, or I got to go meet somebody somewhere, then we're going to, out of respect, let that person go. This is a very two-way. It's a two-way street. It's an opportunity for us to have positive, engaging conversation.
It wasn't necessarily reflected in the press release, but it's my understanding now, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this was primarily targeted toward the youth, not drivers of motor vehicles, more so Power Wheels and scooters and things like that. Was that the bulk of your interaction, and how important is it to send that message that police aren't scary to kids?
Yeah, this is an education piece. And oftentimes when you think education, you think schools, you think youth. But I think also you can look at adult education as well. When you look at Arizona, people come all over the country to Arizona. Laws are different in every state on how things work. So whether we can educate the youth, and again, we're not scary. We're here to help them and protect them. And let's say there's an instance that they need to call someone and they say, hey, I remember I had a nice conversation with an officer. They're not scared to report something. On the flip side, we have somebody who moves from a different part of the country who doesn't understand you have to ride with the flow of traffic. Maybe doesn't understand why, because they feel like, well, the car's coming behind me and I could see them if I'm going the opposite way of traffic. We want to be able to explain those reasons and have those positive conversations. So it's an education piece for all ages.
All set, Colleen. All right, that concludes our Facebook Live. We'll have a follow-up report coming up on later editions of 12 News, first at 4 and at 5 and 6.